Okay, we stand adjourned at 3:08 p.m.
Okay, please come to order for the November 6th joint meeting of Glendale City Council and Glendale Housing Authority. May we have roll call for City Council, please?
Councilmember Agajanian?
Present.
Devine?
Here.
Garapetian?
Here.
Najarian?
Here.
Mayor Sinanian?
Here. Mr. Chair?
Next.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Want to take
Roll call for Housing Authority.
Sorry, Member Devine?
Here.
Garapetian?
Here.
Najarian?
Here.
Parazian?
Here.
Sinanian?
here.
Chair Agajanian?
Present.
And may we have the report, please?
The agenda for the November 6, 2018 joint public meeting of the City Council and Housing Authority was posted on Friday, November 2nd, 2018 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
And what is next?
One would be Director of Community Service and Parks, status of program planning for the fiscal year 2019-2020, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, the Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, and Home Investment Partnership, Home Annual Action Plan, and transfer of fiscal year 2016-2017 and 2018-2019 CDBG Fund. 1A would be council motion approving the fiscal year 2019-2020 CDBG program priorities of fiscal year 2019-2020, proposed CDBG funding allocation plan by funding category, and issuance of an RFP to the community for CDBG and ESC social services and to the community for CDBG capital improvement project. B would be Housing Authority motion approving the fiscal year 2019-2020 CDBG program priorities. A, fiscal year 2019-2020, proposed CDBG funding allocation plan by funding category, and issuance of an RFP to the community for CDBG and ESG social services and to the community for CDBG capital improvement projects. And
Ms. Cohen?
Good
C,
afternoon. There's C.
there's C.
there's
C would be council resolution of appropriation to transfer $370,000 in CDBG funds from the fiscal year 2016-2017 and $370,000 in CDBG funds from fiscal year 2018-2019 housing projects to the fiscal year 2018-2019 Pacific Park Artificial Turf Multi-Purpose Field Project as recommended by the CDBG Advisory Committee.
Good afternoon, members of the Housing
Good
Authority,
afternoon.
members of the City Council. I'm Maggie Kavarian, Senior Community Services Supervisor with the Community Services and Parks Department, here to present the CDBG ESG Home Program Planning for fiscal year 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan. If I can direct your attention to the PowerPoint presentation we have for you. We wanted to let you know at the we wanted to develop the funding priorities for fiscal year 19-20 for the CDBG program, and that was really the purpose of our program planning, to also come up with a fiscal year 2019-2020 proposed CDBG funding allocation plan by funding category, and of course to issue a RFP for CDBG and for ESG for social services, as well as an RFP for community development projects for nonprofit agencies, community agencies. The CDBG Advisory Committee met on October 22nd, and members reviewed and commented on the annual community needs assessment. They also recommended program priorities based on the findings of the needs assessment, and they reviewed and recommended the proposed funding allocation plan. We also reviewed and approved revisions and amendments to the projects for the program year, which is the transfer, which I will get into a little bit further in the presentation. And of course, we reviewed the proposal process and the timeline for 2019-2020. The community needs assessment and the citizenship participation is actually a requirement of HUD. We do that. It's a consolidated plan that's done for 5 years. It's from 2015 to 2019. We're at the tail end of it. We collected census demographics surveys in 2014, and we do an annual community needs assessment. And on September 20th, we held our annual community needs assessment at Pacific Park Community Center with 14 community members who attended. We had 4 comment cards that were returned. We had 3 breakout sessions, one in Armenian, one in Spanish, and one in English, where city staff also provided childcare for young families that wanted to attend and give their feedback. City staff that represented during this assessment period was Community Services and Parks, Homeless Services, Recreation, Senior Services, Community Development had their housing staff, and code enforcement staff, and we also had representation from the police department. The 14 members discussed program priorities, and these are the highly identified. There are quite a few program priorities for fiscal year 1920, but housing, social services, neighborhood improvements, community facilities and improvements, and homelessness were top priorities for those who were in attendance. We have developed an estimated fund that will be available for fiscal year 1920, and we do this with information coming in from Washington and from HUD. For CDBG, we anticipate $1.8 million for fiscal year 1920. In ESG program, we anticipate $147,000, and for the home program, $1.3 million. So when we break down the CDBG funding allocation plan, it's broken down as you see forth. 20% of that goes to administration, which is the programming, maintenance, and operation costs, salaries. 15% goes to social services, which we RFP out, and that's about $270,000. And then 65%, that's the bulk, goes to capital and neighborhood improvement projects. So that $1.17 million is split into 2. $590,000 goes to 2 city pre-designated projects, and $580,000 is set aside for RFP to community neighborhood nonprofits. The pre-designated projects are up there as follows. Section 108 loan repayment to HUD for the Essentia Access Center is $240,000 a year. That includes this year, which will include the principal and interest. And then we're setting aside $350,000 for the Pacific Park Artificial Turf Multipurpose Field Project, which will replace the current natural grass field. We're also coming to ask for a transfer of funds. Currently, we have the 2016-2017 homeless housing project and 2018-19 homeless housing project, which has a combined $740,000 that we would ask that we transfer to the Pacific Park Artificial Turf Multipurpose Field Project. And the reasons for the transfer are currently there is a lack of affordable and available housing stock. The home funds that were going to be matched are being redirected to other affordable housing projects. And mainly for us, for the CDBG staff, we have strict guidelines on timeliness. And right now, we do not want to be red flagged, so we do not want to give back those funds back to HUD. We want to continue to use the funds within our city. We will, however, continue to revisit the homeless housing project in future fiscal years. So I wanted to give you a RFP proposal timeline because the proposal process, it can be pretty daunting. Back with council direction, we had a CDBG open house on September 13th. We had outreached and marketed to 99 nonprofits in the Glendale area. We had 13 agencies in attendance, and we explained the how-tos of CDBG funding to give those agencies a heads up of what was to come. Tomorrow, we plan to do a media blast, letting the agencies know, those 99 agencies know that we are going to issue an RFP. The issuance of the RFP is on November 16th, which is a Friday. And then we're going to conduct a technical assistance workshop on November 28th to really explain the process of applying for the funds and how to write the proposal. City staff usually receives 15 to 20 funding proposals every year. 8 to 10 of those are from social services projects, and 5 to 10 are from capital improvement projects from community neighborhood nonprofits. Our RFP submittal due date this year is December 27th at 5 p.m. at the Housing Department, second floor. So the proposal evaluation process, We wanted to break it down so you would see. Staff basically reviews the proposals submitted and prepares a one-page bullet analysis of strengths and weaknesses. And we reach out to the agencies and we work with them to make corrections or, and to return those weaknesses that we noticed. After we do that, we put packets together and those proposals are forwarded to our CDBG Advisory Committee members. On February 22nd, we are anticipated to meet right here at an all-day session from 8 to 5, and the committee will interview those agencies and deliberate and develop funding recommendations, which we will then bring to you. Now, the ESG program this year is going to be issuing their RFP as well. They follow a similar process, except they go to their COC Board of Directors, and their program is a 2-year grant program. So the City Council, so what we are asking and requesting is that the program priorities be approved. We have our proposed funding allocation plan be approved, and we transfer funds from the homeless housing project to our Pacific Park artificial turf project. And then we issue the RFP to both CDBG and ESG Social Services and to CDBG capital improvement projects. If you have any questions, we also have our newly appointed chair of our CDBG Advisory Committee, Ronnie Goribian, is here as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Question, Mr. Chair?
On page 6, you're saying that you have sent applications or questionnaire, I guess, to 99 organizations, 13 came forward. If there are other nonprofit organizations, they can still come forward, right?
Absolutely.
It's not limited to that 13 nonprofit organizations to come forward and get some help, right?
Councilmember Agajanian, we sent out that CDBG open house workshop mailer, email, and all-out media blast to all 99. 13 attended the session, so 13 did come.
I guess I think the question that's being asked is the workshop attendance is not a prerequisite to participating in the
It
process.
is not. It was actually a city council directive to get the word out to more nonprofits in the area.
And when is the deadline for the applications?
The application deadline is going to be on December 27th at 5 p.m.
And when do they become available?
November 16th,
And from November 16th until December 11th? you said
27th.
Staff is basically, all they're doing is helping these folks prepare their packages, right? A lot of work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have 2 staff members who will be on call to do that, along with a technical assistance meeting.
Along with the technical assistance meeting. I have a question about the funds that were I guess it's spread over 2 years, the homelessness fund, housing project, and that's going towards, according to the proposal, that's going to go towards the artificial turf at Pacific, correct? But that's over a 2-year period. If the work commences in is there enough cash in the first year?
It's
How is that
actually,
going to happen? Is it every year the money's going to come, or are we going to somehow
so
appropriate the money and then backfill it?
Mayor Sinanian, we have $370,000 in fiscal year 16-17, and we have $370,000 in fiscal year 18-19 currently. Combined, it's $740,000 that will be transferred if approved.
So technically,
to-
last year's 370 is going to
Last
be
year's,
added on to next year's 370. So I have any questions? Yes, Mr. Garpetian?
Yes, thank you. The loan amount for the Sensia. I wanted to know if they're aware of it. The loan amount, the 240,000, when is that, when does it mature? When is it?
it will mature on 2021. We're technically going into our 7th payment. So by 2021, we should be completely the loan should be completely paid off.
So from 2021, we will have $240,000 extra.
Could
in
be
our funds.
more. It depends. Every year, the principal and the interest change. Last year, or I should say currently, it's about $232,000. In previous years, it was 212,000. It just depends.
And the timing which you can apply for CDBG funding, is it a state mandate, or because from November 16th, a week later, it's Thanksgiving, and then in December, you have maybe a week or so that's Christmas, and then it's kind of holiday season, Christmas season, so is it set by state or it's set by us?
It's actually set by us, but it's because HUD has their release of their entitlement at a certain time, and we have to complete our requirements, which is by spring, we should have an allocation plan.
Got it.
The council should approve it, and then we have to complete our annual action plan, the final annual action plan, and turn it into the HUD offices.
Okay. And the percentage of capital improvements versus social services, is it set by us or it's set by HUD?
That is a HUD requirement, so HUD requires 65% go to capital improvement projects.
Got it. Thank you.
And I'll add also that, at least conventionally in the past, CDBG committee meets last week of February and first week of March to actually make the allocations and then submit it to council for approval. So that's part of the timeline. And I'll also mention for our viewers and everyone in the audience that these homelessness housing project funds that are now going to go towards the turf project at Pacific are formerly code enforcement in South Glendale, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's very important because a significant amount of money that was CDBG funds were formerly used for regular sort of city services in South Glendale, and council and certainly CDBG committee members had a big problem with that, and we got rid of that. Now this money is being spent for, I think, more appropriate reasons. So I welcome that. Yes, sir.
I have just a question. The estimated fund of CDBG for 2019-2020 will be 1,800,000, right, on page
That is correct.
4. What was the amount, if you can tell me, what was the amount for the 2018-2019? Do you remember?
Currently, it is 1.8,570,000.
So approximately the same amount.
Well, we're short about, I was very conservative in the estimates because we are anticipating more. We just wanted to be conservative because we don't want to put out an RFP with, saying we have, X amount of dollars when we don't. But we are very hopeful that it will be over 1.85.
Thank you.
Since you asked that question, how much was it 10 years ago?
Mayor Sinanian, you would probably answer that way better than I would at this point.
It was multiples of
Way.
millions, yeah, multiples of millions. It was several times over what it is now, but, yes.
I just wanted to, one of my concerns with this staff report, and this is for those nonprofits that are listening in today and finding out information about this CDBG funding and how the protocol is regarding the audit committee's requirements for the submission of ratios, et cetera. And I know that when I was working or volunteering in the nonprofit sector, CDBG funding was kind of always considered difficult to apply for because of all of the application requirements, et cetera. And now I see there's, now you're requiring ratios calculated. Can you explain how you are actually helping or going to be helping these applicants on that front?
Absolutely. The audit committee this past spring came to us, well, we went to the audit committee because every year the Innovation Performance and Audit Department conduct a ratio analysis from the agencies. And they put in between 120 to 160 hours of staff time. And the audit committee felt that that was way too much time to be spending on this. And they asked for the usefulness of those ratios to our CDBG advisory committee if they were using them. And the CDBG advisory committee came back and said, yes, they are very useful, but we have 3 ratios that are more useful than we have 6 total ratios, but these 3 which is debt ratio, reliance on source income, and I think it's defensive interval is the other one. So those are the three that they wanted to continue using. And they felt that the agencies could provide that information because it comes from the financial statements, and those are conducted by their audits and by their accountants. So we thought we're going to give it a test run. This year, we will have that be completed by the agencies, those three ratios. But the IPA department created the ratio tool. The calculation tool will be online on November 16th, and we will also present it and demonstrate it at our technical support meeting. And we are going to input that information as it comes, and we're going to get all the comments in as well to see if this is actually working out or not, and then provide a feedback report to the audit committee. We're hopeful, but we are very much going to be helping the agencies with that
Good.
process.
And so with this tool that's been provided from the IPA department, it's going to be easier for the nonprofits to provide you with this information and for you to gather it and use it.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we have two motions and a resolution. Can we take them together, Mr. Attorney?
Mayor, council item is at 1, and then housing, 1 and 3, and then housing is at 2.
Okay, can we take 1A, you mean A, 1 and C?
Oh, I'm
and
sorry,
then-
I'm looking at the report.
Okay.
Correct, 1A and 1C.
So can we take A, 1 and C together?
Yes, sir.
Will someone move A, 1 and C and 3?
I'll move the items.
Second?
1A and 1C, right? That's what you moved?
Yes.
That's what you
I
moved,
move
that's what you
yes.
seconded? Can we have roll call for council, please?
Councilmember Agajanian,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Sinanian.
Yes.
I move 1B.
Second?
Mr. Chair, will you call for roll call?
Yeah, roll call for 1B.
Authority Member Devine,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Parazian. Authority Member Sinanian,
Yes.
and Chair Agajanian.
Yes.
Okay, if I can have,
Move to adjourn for council. Second.
Move to adjourn for housing.
second, and we're adjourned at 3:30 PM.